To begin this bracelet, I'm going to start with a button. Now you might not want to use a button fastening, you could do a clasp fastening, you could do tie on ends, or you could work from a loop. So if you're going to do that, you don't need to do this part to begin with. So I've threaded all my cords onto the button, and then I want to attach the button to the top of my board. So to begin your pattern, you should have the cords in this order. So you have two sections. For the first section at this side, you'll have your longest cords here, and then your two shortest ones in the centre. You want the exact same thing for your other section, so your longest cords on the outside and your two shortest in the centre. So this is a 2-row repeat pattern, and for the first row of the pattern I'm going to be doing 2 square knots for each section, or rather what I mean is 1 square knot at each side. So for the first section, just want to get your 2 cords in the centre and go over, over and through. And then under, under and through. And then you want to do the same thing at the other side. So for the second row, I'm going to add my beads. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 2 cords in the centre, which should be the longest cords, and I want to thread a bead onto both these cords. So this is my largest bead, and this is what's going to hold the bracelet sides together. So I want to push that bead up and then clip these out of the way, and then I want to add a small bead to each of these cords at both sides. So once you've added all your beads for your second row, you can repeat what you did for row 1. So once you've added your last bead and you've got your bracelet as long as you want it to be, you can create your buttonhole. So to do that, I'm going to take the 4 cords in the centre and clip those to the bottom of the board. And I'm going to take these 2 cords next to them and leave these ones free and just do 1 square knot just to seal these beads in place. And then I want to split my cords again into 2 sections. So putting 1 section out of the way, I'm going to take the 3 cords on the inside and clip these to the bottom of the board, and then I'm going to take the outside cord, I'm going to do hitch knots to create my buttonhole space. So you just want to go over and through and then under and through, and you want to do this as many times as you need to create your buttonhole. So this depends on how big your button is as to how many knots you will need. So it's a good idea to measure as you go along, and once you've done this side you want to do the same thing at that side. So once you've done both sides, you can leave these 2 cords out and then clip the rest to the bottom of the board and do a couple of square knots just to seal your 2 sides together. So once you're happy that that's nice and secure, you can remove your bracelet from the board and then you can trim and seal any excess. So I'm going to use a lighter to seal here, but you could use glue if you prefer. And you should end up with something that looks like this. Alternately, if you don't want your beadwork to look too clustered, you could use larger beads, just put more cords through them. So I've put 2 cords through the small beads either side and 4 cords through the centre bead for this one, and I've also fastened it with a clasp instead of a button fastening.